Hi, y'all. We're live and we're going to start talking like the meat and potatoes, the juicy down home info on love and sex in about 5 minutes. And in the meantime, come on in, like join us in the rooms. We have room for 10 people in the studio. We won't be serving drinks. And I'm here with ScottieO. Oh, he's serving drinks.
Yeah, I got to stay hydrated.
ScottieO, man, how did you know I was going to say that right then? This man is tuned in, y'all. Anyway, we're about to have a show that's about the very human experiences of sex and love. And I have a lot of questions for ScottieO, and I bet all of y'all will have questions. And besides that, people want to talk about the most interesting topics of human beings, and we don't have a lot of formats where we can actually go talk about them. Okay, take a break. Whoever's on Facebook and says they're taking a break. And y'all, all it says to me is Facebook user. So if you can tell me who you are, then I'll know exactly who's in the audience. And it'd be nice to know who we're dealing with other than anonymous Facebook users. Because ScottieO and I are certainly not anonymous today. We're putting ourselves out there.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think it's very unconventional being quiet for a few seconds before we start our real broadcast. Well, I think it's unconventional because there is a big no-no in broadcast radio about dead airtime.
Oh.
And we're completely flaunting their conventions.
Yeah, we're in the Tantra world. It's good to just take a pause, take a breath, and notice how you're feeling. And we actually really recommend people slow down and take a breath every once in a while.
On my last show with Dr. Avram Weiss, who talked about hidden in plain sight, how men's fears of women shape their intimate relationships. Some of the information that he was sharing was very highly charged. And so I used Kat's, hi Leonard, I used Kat's method several times. I just said, take a deep breath and let it out audibly. Yep. Hi, Ray Santoya, my dance ambassador. I love that. And Leonard Rosenbaum, do you remember him from the Tantra Festival?
Leonard.
Hi, Leonard. I've been thinking about you. Your card is sitting right on my desk, and one of these days I'm going to call you. Thanks for reaching out. More proof that the universe gives you what you're thinking about, or who you're thinking about in this case.
Be careful of your thoughts and your wishes.
Yeah, make them deliberate. Make them what you actually desire. So many people, when I'm coaching them, say, well, I know what I don't want. This is what I don't want. Well, the universe is listening to that too. I really liked it. Before we went live, there was a little countdown that was telling us that we were about to go live, but we don't have that now.
I've got some that says live 3:48:49, so I think we're live. But
okay, good. We have about 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome for our lovely words. Great to see you too. But who are you? Tell us who you are. It's so anonymous here. It just says Facebook user, and we want to know who's really out there engaging.
Yeah, I don't see what you see. I only am connecting with you.
Yeah, you know, there might be another way to do this. I'm going to grab my keyboard.
So we're about to talk about...
This is the beginning of the real thing, y'all. This is the real thing. ScottieO, did you see the banner that I made with you on it?
No.
You didn't see it? You have to go to a Nurtured Life Facebook page or a Nurtured Life YouTube page. And I put it on Austin Tantra too. It's a banner with you and me.
I did see that.
That yes. You're the Kundalini dragon.
That's great.
Let's see what else. So it says you're the Kundalini dragon, the herald of the new tantric age, and the champion of love. So that's who I'm introducing y'all. I'm introducing you to ScottieO. And I'm going to tell you all about him in a second, or at least as much as I know. Let me tell you, first of all, who I am. I'm Karen Leba Baker. In other worlds, I'm known as Majestic. And the truth is, I'm just here to shine light. That's really why I'm here. Growing up, I was fed the same fairy tales that most people in our Western culture are fed. And, they always say happily ever after. And then the story ends. It doesn't say what to do when he leaves the toilet seat up, or what to do when she's having a hysterical fit about a broken fingernail or something more serious. We don't really get a lot of guidance about how to interact deeply with the people in our lives. And we're all but taught to ignore the body, which is really our radar dish, which is really the vehicle through which we send and receive most messages. It's not just words that we communicate with. We also communicate with our bodies, our body language, our tone of voice. Hi, Aisha. Welcome,
Hi.
darling.
Thank
So good
you.
to see you. Communication is a lot more than the words that we're saying. And many years ago, when I discovered the body and started to study the body as a map of consciousness, it blew my mind. All of a sudden, the world was way more than three-dimensional. All of a sudden, I could see clearly because I was feeling, and I wasn't processing my feelings through my stories about the feelings. I was just having the feelings, like somebody was either bringing me closer with their tone of voice, or they were pushing me away, or sometimes even energetically slapping me with their tones of voices. And little did I know, I was learning Tantra and deeper communication skills. And along about a couple of years ago, I started learning Tantra in earnest. I met some friends in Houston, Sita and Dala, and I went to their house and had such a warm experience of potluck with them and with their community. And then I met Scott and Melanie, and I wanted to learn what they were teaching because my education about sex and love was woefully limited. And I knew I was missing something, but I could only catch the scent of it on the wind. I couldn't quite get my teeth into it. And I wanted to have the totally embodied experience of sex and love. I didn't just want to know it was out there. I wanted to know it was in here. And so I took a class recently with ScottieO's organization, Ecstatic Hearts, and I just experienced unity consciousness. And I experienced transcending all my stories about things. And it actually lasted for a few days. And so I came back. And I'm not really a beginner in the field of consciousness. I'm a teacher of consciousness, but I've gotten so much more depth about what it takes to stay lighthearted and open. It takes community. It takes practice. It takes practices. It takes people with whom you can show up and just be authentic, even if you're in a deep down, or even if you're on top of the world. You have to be able to be authentic and feel yourself received and loved by others, no matter what kind of situation you're in. The human experience is widely ranging. So I wanted to invite ScottieO in as one of the founders of Ecstatic Hearts and let him share his years and decades of experience as a consumer, as a teacher, as a founder, as a spreader of the good word. And you may know from the banner that he calls himself a Kundalini dragon. He also calls himself a herald of the new tantric age and a champion of love. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him, of experiencing his unbridled enthusiasm for life and his subject matter. And really, that's what it takes to create a movement, is that kind of unabashed love of your topic. And so I want to introduce ScottieO. It's been my pleasure to get to know him. And I have a few questions. Is there first a way that you would want to introduce yourself that I didn't cover?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me, Karen. I think you're an amazing woman, and I'm always thrilled to talk about Tantra and how to improve people's not just love lives, but their experience of life altogether. And I think one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about is how Tantra is more than what most people think. And but yeah, let's just dive right in. Let's get
Well, what is it? First, what is it? What is Tantra?
What is Tantra?
What is that?
Right.
Where did the word come from? What does it mean?
Got it. So Tantra has been around for a few thousand years, and there's as many different types of Tantra as there are like religions. It's not a religion, in my perspective. You notice for some, it's a practice. So what it means is interweaving of parts and expansion. So I guess the simple way to look at it is it's the practices of movement, sound, breath, touch, mindfulness, and sexual energy to raise our consciousness, improve our connection both within and with others and with the divine. You can just simply look at it as embodied love.
Hang on one sec. I want to write that. Give me a sec. Movement, sound, breath,
mindfulness, touch, and sexual energy
mindfulness,
to raise your consciousness
and
or
sexual
your increase your vibration. And what we're really, it's called interweaving of parts, because what we're doing is we're learning to love ourselves and really kind of access all of who we are, our masculine, our feminine energies, our light, our dark, our our weaknesses, our strengths, because we want to feel it all. I mean, that's the tantric way. It's like really squeeze the juice out of a life. And when we become aligned, when our subconscious is aligned with our conscious, we're better able to create the results we want and have a better experience of life. And then it really is about connection. So to me, my form of Tantra, Ecstatic Hearts, is really about connection. So when you're aligned internally and you really love yourself and you recognize you're connected to everyone else, then you start really having amazing connections with other people. I'm talking about you can read their minds, you can like have orgasms with them from across the room. You get to levels of connection that I didn't think was possible. And not to mention opening up your heart and really just feeling things in a profound, powerful new way. And then when you really get good at that, then it starts expanding to the universe and you start having connections to the divine. Like, I didn't really believe in this Tantra stuff until I started experiencing. I just started this practice because I want to be better at sex, really. And now I marry people, and I've had so many visceral experiences of the divine in my life that I don't even need faith, because I just had so many experiences. There's something greater out there that's for our greater good. And then you start having weird experiences like past lives, out of body experiences, orgasms with trees and lightning bolts. It gets really profound and crazy of what's possible out there. But most people have no clue just how extraordinary life can be. We're living on heaven on earth right here and now, and Tantra is the best access I know of to recognize how amazing life is right now all around us.
Okay, everybody take a breath. ScottieO, someone says, glad to see you guys together, and I miss your events. I have a horrible connection here at work, but look forward to seeing all of you guys. That's from Ray Santoya.
I miss you too, Ray. Good to hear you, brother.
Ray, we love to be with you. You're quite the orgasmic space yourself. Okay, ScottieO, wait, because you mentioned the words religion and you mentioned the words body between the text a few different times. So what can you approach the religion part and
Sure.
just share a little bit about that? You said it's not a religion, but it's a set of spiritual practices.
Yeah. So, okay, there's lots of different types of Tantra. Some people view Tantra as a religion. Some people view it as a way of life. Some people view it as practices. I try to take it as practical as an understanding way that we can, so it kind of translates better to the West, if you will. But I think it's yoga, right? It's literally like a practice of love, of learning how to open up your own heart, feel more, connect more with other people, is the bottom line. And there's lots of different ways to do that, and lots of different flavors of how that looks. But but in general, what I found is it enhances everyone's spiritual practice. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It doesn't even matter if you don't believe in anything. Like I didn't believe in anything. I was pretty agnostic when I started, and And there are plenty of people that still are, so just think of it as a yoga. It's a practice, though, just like dancing or martial arts, that gets better and better and better over time. So a lot of people think that they can have like one tantric session and have a profound experience, and you can have a profound experience, but the real juice, the real value of this is incorporating into your life. And the thing that makes it fun and easy is that it actually takes and celebrates sexual energy, which most other spiritual practices kind of repress or shove down. And when you utilize that, it actually makes your practice more fun too. So it's intrinsically rewarding to do. And so that's like, part of me is like a little lazy. So when I was a Buddhist before, I did some cool practices, but it just wasn't resonant with me. I got a little bored speaking in like a language I didn't understand, and I just didn't quite get it. But like Tantra, especially when I could throw it into lovemaking, that I could practice over and over and over again, and it just got better and better and better. So it really has. When I've started practicing on a regular basis for about 14 years now, my life gets better and better, like significantly every month, consistently. Like, for the whole.
I know you always say that. I
I
think it's
know.
a little perplexing because you always say that. Okay. I'm sure you're going to get back to that.
Okay.
Here's my question. So you're saying that we can access our sexual energy by ourselves?
Yes.
And that we can enjoy it like a juicy date with ourselves?
Yes. It all starts with self-love. That said, some people can accelerate faster with other people, because when you have more people, there's more energy. And so for me personally, I didn't really start tapping into the real benefits of Tantra until I had a partner to practice with. But that was just because I was lazy and didn't want to practice on my own. But it was more fun to practice with someone else. But but I learned the fundamentals by myself, and that was what kind of kicked this off. And so yes, and plenty of people do this as a solo practice.
Well, I know that recently I was in the Tantra 1 class as part of the staff, and I've been talking to my friends that took the class. Numerous ones of them are practicing the daily practices, and they say that they're really benefiting a lot. What about me? I've been practicing them, but I'm kind of lazy too, and I'd rather do stuff in a group or with a partner. So I kind of practice them sporadically, but I don't think I'm getting so much of them lately. So I'm so much from them. So can you suggest why that might be? Is it because I have low life force energy, or it's because I'm too in my head? What can you suggest that I could do to get more juice out of the practices?
Well, first of all, everyone's path is unique. Like, I really believe that listen to your body. Like you said earlier, your body is kind of your guide as to what works for you. I think it also is more tapped into the divine than our mind is. Sure, our mind can get in the way. We have self-judgments and limitations. Most of us have that. That's actually what sexual empowerment deals with, which is coming up with, is what are limiting conversations in our head that we can clear, along with energy blocks in our body, to really access how extraordinary life can be. But as far as being patient with yourself, knowing that it is a journey. That the whole point of Tantra is to enjoy the ride. It's not getting to a certain part. It's like it's a roller coaster of life, but it gets better and better and better. If you play. So what you can do. The good news is you live here in Austin, so come to events. We have puja parties. We have socials. We have a great community of a really amazing, open-hearted, loving people. And so just come hang out with other people. You said yourself, it's like, if I lack motivation, I'm an extrovert, so I get more motivated when I hang out with other people who are also excited about and practice Tantra. And maybe find a lover. I've got a singles puja for Valentine's on Monday. Maybe you'll find someone there to practice.
That sounds fun. Okay,
Yeah.
good. You're going to, in a little while, you're going to share a link that has all your courses. Will it also have the singles puja on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, let me see if I can find that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I want to ask a few questions, and we're going to take questions from the audience. What would you say the most important lesson that you've gotten from practicing Tantra? And how long did you say you've been practicing?
Well, I learned my Tantra 1 weekend, kind of like the one you just did, about 26 years ago. And so I learned some fundamentals and whatnot, but I didn't really start practicing in earnest, which was like 15 minutes a day, 3 times a week or something, until about 14 years ago. And that's when I really started, taking off. And then let's see. About 14 years ago, I've been really practicing, and then about 9 years ago, I've been more or less doing it full time, as far as like teaching full time. And of course, there's no better way to learn than through teaching. So it's good too.
So that's interesting. I'm counting back to 26 years. It was 1995 where I met my mentor, who taught me all about consciousness and the body as a map of consciousness. And I haven't even shown you my performance scales, the ones that he invented, where he puts all the systems together, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then all the different systems for describing the human experience. And he maps them onto the body. I'm going to have to show those to you. So I just noticed that our journeys have been going on for about the same amount of time.
Cool.
And I have this extraordinary fascination for the body, for, a lot of times the things that you avoid. Have you found this? Whatever you're avoiding, but you have like this fascination with it, like you are completely distracted by it every chance you get, but you actually avoid the experience of it. Do you ever have that with anything at all? Or do you just dive headlong like a Kundalini dragon?
So repeat the question one more time. I'm not sure I fully understood it.
So I have this fascination with consciousness in the body, and I've been teaching it, and I've been talking about communication and how communication actually either draws us in or it repels us. And there's so many nuances of communication. And I teach women how to talk to men so that they don't arouse the beast within in the wrong way, so they soothe the savage beast instead of provoking him. And but I was always like curiously very interested in sex, but always avoiding it. But like a subject of extreme fascination for me, like I would never admit it until I kind of got older, and I was like, well, who cares what I do? So I'm just wondering, is there anything that you feel fascinated by, but you haven't explored it yet?
Yeah, when it comes to like the fight, flight, freeze response, I typically go fight. And so I have a pattern of jumping into what I'm most scared of. And it's become kind of like a pattern for me. So I'm always looking for where my comfort zone is so I can like push past it. So I really enjoy living on the edge. That's where I think life is most juicy and exciting. So there's not much out there that that I haven't dived into that that is scary for me. And if I find something that's scary or uncomfortable, that's where I kind of aim and point. It's like, that's where the most growth is, the most juiciness. So that's just kind of my personal style.
What an amazing way to live. My mentor used to say, find what you're the most afraid of and then run like hell towards it.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually do that. All the while I was mouthing, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. But I wasn't really doing that. But that's more how I want to live. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to live more like that, just drop it in there. Like, yes, I would love to live more like scooting towards my edge. But a lot of people, me included, and people would say to me, Karen, you're so courageous. No, I'm not courageous at all. It's just that my comfort zone is different than a lot of other people's comfort zone. So I look pretty out of the box to them, but I'm still in my box. But I really want to embrace what that is, like to really run like hell towards what it is that I'm the most afraid of. Because literally that's where the most aliveness is. And when you're running, you can actually break through that barrier of fear, like a finish line, and you can actually accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish, which is basically, I think freedom is our ultimate destination. Just to be free to express ourselves, to be free to be present with others and hold space for them while they express themselves, to be free to really experience everything that life has to offer. And that's kind of what I hear you saying about the most important lessons of Tantra. I mean, the body's the vehicle for feeling. We don't feel stuff in our mind. We just chew on our resentments and grudges.
Yeah. And, I don't think there's any one right way. I mean, some people are comfortable in their comfort zone, and that's okay. I do think that what makes Tantra unique from other practices is we do recommend fully feeling it all, Like it is about feeling, and the more you feel, the more you free yourself and clear stuff out of the way. And the more you feel like the lows, the more amazing the highs are. And it kind of, for most people, goes like this. So sure, there's downs, but if you practice Tantra, most people continue to get better and better, because what you're also doing is you're, through neuroplasticity, you're rewiring your neural network to actually expand your capacity, like your physical ability to feel more pleasure, more joy, more love, more orgasmic pleasure. So it's like, so that's one of the reasons life gets better and better, is because you're actually training your body to experience more. You're also, with your perceptions, you're training your brain to appreciate how magical and amazing life is around us. And you're celebrating and utilizing sexual energy, which is the most powerful energies in the universe, versus repressing it or shaming it or just ignoring it. And so
Thank you for bringing that point up, because probably a lot of people listening or that will listen have read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
I believe it's in chapter 11 that he talks about the transmutation of sexual energy. And he also talks about how he interviewed 500 millionaires in order to come up with a formula for success. And the formula for success invariably included high sexual drive. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Absolutely. And transmuting. Basically, it's Tantra, transmuting that energy. Because the energy, so Tantra can be used for a lot of different things. It can improve your sense of well-being. It can improve your energy and your health and others. It can heal you physically, emotionally, spiritually. It can be used just to increase your sensations, your ability to feel joy. It opens up your heart. It helps you connect more deeply. It gives you more grounded and more creativity. It helps you become more conscious, more present. You can become more psychic. You can have like really magical powers. You can also just use energy to manifest anything you want. Like really, you can actually make your dreams a reality. And so that's why it's like the trifecta. Not only is your perception improving, your capacity for joy and love is improving, but you're also manifesting better results in your life. And it's there's nothing else like it in my experience.
Well, raise your hand if you want that. Okay, so ScottieO, since you're who you are and I'm who I am, we can have this conversation. Why, in your opinion, or based on your study of history or whatever you know, why are the basic functions of a human being, such as sex? I mean, everyone of us came from an act of sex, and love. Why are they so repressed in our culture? Why are they such taboo topics? I mean, imagine if no one ever talked about peeing or pooping or sweating, which are normal bodily functions. But when it comes to sex, which is a normal bodily function, and a human drive and desire, why did it get so shoved under the carpet?
Not only is it a regular bodily function, it's the most amazing natural expression of love and joy and pleasure that we have. And it's frankly, it's still a little mind-boggling to me that the most beautiful thing we have, that connects our hearts more than anything else, that gives us more pleasure than anything else, that is arguably the most powerful, closest connection to the divine we have, is vilified. And it's like and I mean, it's a strong word, but like you can't show a breast on TV without getting banned, yet we can show.
Wait, should I try it?
Up to you. But yet we can have like mass murdering of children and puppies on television. That's perfect example. It's really bizarre to me and how twisted that's become. But I think, to answer your question, I believe that throughout history, people have used shame and control to stay in power and to keep the masses. The thing is that your sexual energy is so powerful, and it allows you a direct connection to the divine that the, let's say, priest kings of old didn't want you going directly to the divine. They wanted to keep you in fear and shame, and then you'll look to them on how to behave. So I think that's part of it. And I think that people are afraid of what they don't understand. I think actually the female energy and power, the power of divine feminine, has also been repressed for similar reasons. It's because it's creative energy. It's powerful, and people are afraid of what they don't understand. People are afraid of change and growth, and love what we all want is the most scariest thing there is out there too. People are most afraid of having what they really want. So I think there's a variety of reasons, and it's just become kind of culturalized as far as shame is bad and wrong. But I have O in my, my name ScottieO, and it's to remind me what I stand for, which is orgasmic oneness. Like, I'm going to make orgasms cool again, like something that's fun to talk about, something fun to do, and utilize the power of orgasms to bring unity and harmony on the planet. I really think that Tantra is going to be one of the keys that actually saves us from destroying ourselves, because we need to make some radical changes in the next 10 years in order to really save life on Earth. And I think because Tantra deals with open source, free, self-rewarding activities that awake people up and help them feel more connected to other people and to their own joy of life, that I think it's going to be one of the keys that helps us really save ourselves and start making better long-term decisions, more win-win-win decisions, instead of short-term thinking.
I agree with you. Okay, I have other questions. So give us an accessible experience, like something that just any person that hadn't necessarily dabbled in consciousness could find inviting. Share something from your own experience that's kind of, how they mark the hot sauces, mild, butthole burning. They have all the different gradations. So give us like a mild story of something that people can kind of nibble on.
Sure. Basically, if you break it down into the practices, there's some very simple things you can do to improve quality of life. Like, you started off with breathing. Breathing is something, it's so fundamental, and we all do it. We kind of take it for granted because we all do it, but most people don't have a breathing practice. And just something like, if you're nervous for a meeting, or you're getting ready to talk in front of a group of people, or you're about to have a hot date or whatever, or you're nervous or upset or angry or whatever, really just taking a moment and just going, okay, let me just take a breath, and just everyone, we do this together. So everyone breathe with me, take a breath. Deep as you can, slow, let out with a sigh. One more time. And that just helps regulate your system. It helps improve your immunities. It helps relax you. I mean, one of the most dangerous things we have in this world is stress. And so just doing simple breathing helps reduce stress and helps us be able to, engage with the world more effectively. And so I still incorporate more of that into my life because it's still so effective. So another thing you can do.
Wait, hang on though. But
Sure.
why isn't our breathing adequate? I mean, it's a parasympathetic.
Yeah, it's
regulated. Our body regulates it. We're not in control of it. So why isn't it adequate?
It's one of the few parts of our bodies that's both part of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So it regulates what we've trained it to do, but it's one of the few systems that we can actually change and grow. So if we just have a practice of taking deeper breaths every day for a few minutes, just really like breathing as deeply as you can, and do that every day, it'll actually increase how much you breathe the whole rest of the day. So, and by improving, most people only use 60% of their oxygen capacity. So by just breathing more, by having more breath, it actually cleans out your red blood vessels more. It gives you more energy. It actually reverses some aspects of aging. It actually really improves your health and decreases stress and has pretty profound effects. So just breathing deeply, just a few minutes a day, can make an impact on your life. So don't underestimate the simple things. I'll give you two more.
No, it's what you're saying is perfect. And what I noticed when I started taking some deeper breaths at your suggestion, I noticed that there's like a certain, like my rib cage seems like it's extending all the way up here. My rib cage isn't going all the way up here. But I noticed when I breathed that it felt like there was some kind of banding or armoring on my upper lungs. And you're suggesting that I could potentially dissolve that armoring out by doing the breathing, by doing the movement, the sound, the touch and the mindfulness, and increase my ability to touch another person's heart with my own, or to be
Absolutely.
touched.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. The problem with Tantra is most people don't really understand what it is. And most people just kind of, when you hear breathing, movement, sound, whatever, you just kind of toss it out, say, oh, I do all that already. But most people aren't doing it intentionally. They aren't practicing these things that are actually really simple to do. Everyone can do them. And if you do them intentionally, if you do them on a regular basis as a practice, they can become really profound and really powerful. Something like making a sound, like just sighing and so forth, or like doing something like like om. I saw, when I first saw that, I was like, what is this? A dark crystal? Like, I thought it was just a bunch of hippy dippy BS kind of stuff. But now, like, I do oming on a regular basis, or even making an aum sound, the female version, and it actually helps me connect my heart with my sex, with my mind. I can actually sometimes go straight into orgasms from having it. I can, like, effects that simple things can have with this. I mean,
Can you
on
say
that
that
note,
again, ScottieO? I think you fried the wires, because when you started talking about going directly into orgasms, the sound cut out. And I fully
sure.
believe that our technology is probably having one, and it needed to take itself away for a sec. So can you just say what you said right after
Sure.
that, you go fully into orgasm?
Yeah. In fact, I'll repeat, but I'll give you something even better. Is that utilizing our voice, something as simple as making sound, like an om or an aum, it seems really simple, and it is. And with practice, it can actually create extraordinary results. It can help us ground. It can help us get more in our hearts. It can help us integrate internally. It can help us have orgasms. Like, I can just make a sound sometimes and go directly into orgasm because of training, and association, like Pavlov. But, like, if you, just as a simple thing tonight, if you guys want to double the length and intensity of your orgasm, unless you're already doing it, for most people, what you want to do is vocalize, like really make sound, like scream or make as much sound as you can while you're orgasming. And your orgasm will continue as long as you're vocalizing. And this is a practice like anything else. When I first started doing this, I was like I wasn't used to making sound at all. Now I make sound more than just about louder than anybody I know. And I feel like if I don't, sometimes I'll explode. So it's like, and you don't do this all the time, but try it out, practice it. If you're concerned with the neighbors, and or you've got kids or something, you can scream into a pillow. But just the act of really vocalizing opens up an energetic channel in your body, and it has all sorts of other amazing benefits. So that's another little tip. And I'll give you one last one, is gratitude. Like, I start every day with gratitude, because what you focus on, attention goes, energy flows, results follow. So you focus on what you want more of. And so if I'm grateful for, if let's say I'm healing something, so I'm grateful for the health that I have, or I'm grateful for the money that I have, or I'm grateful for how extraordinary life truly is, then my perception starts really recognizing that, attracting that, and my life becomes more amazing. And so if people are worrying about, complaining about, whatever, you focus on gross. If you're complaining about your partners leaving up the toilet seat, or they're doing stuff that are, pissing you off or whatever, if you keep focusing on that, they'll continue to do things that more and more irritate you. But if you focus on how amazing the people in your life are, if you, like, spend every day finding a new thing to celebrate about the person you love in your life, that is an extraordinary Valentine's gift. Like, one of my two of my friends, actually, one wrote in a book, a journal, every day for 365 days. He wrote something new that he loved about his partner, and another one wrote new love letters for like 30 days, wrote a different love letter about how much they appreciate this person. And not only did the people who received that really have extraordinary, like, one of the best gifts they ever had, but the real gift was for the giver, because the practice of these men who practiced, like, thinking about and focusing on what they loved about their partner, had them fall in love with their partner all over again. You can do that with life, so let's train our brains to appreciate how extraordinary everything is.
Those are so valuable, and anyone can do that. And
Absolutely.
even our religions teach us to do it. They don't necessarily give us the formula or the calling it a daily practice. But no, those are so beautiful. I so appreciate that you said them. Share with us just a glimpse into your morning. Like, what is your morning like? Like, how does the Kundalini dragon stay so on fire?
Let's see. My daily practice, frankly, I kind of do a lazy practice. So I start off and I do what I call Gaia sets, which if you go to ecstatichearts.com and on the left of calendar, or there's a menu that says Gaia sets, and there's like videos of all different practices. But I wake up and I go, actually my alarm is like a song about gratitude. And I think, I'm grateful for how great I'm feeling. I think of something to be grateful for. It could be my health, could be the beautiful day, could be the people in my life, whatever. And then I say, I love and accept myself. And I really feel acceptance for who I am and recognize that I'm perfect. And that's really key. Like loving ourselves is one of the key things we're here to do. And I think most people don't fully love themselves as much as they could. And then I go into intention, like what is my goal for the day, my intention, and then I'm juicing that up with my energy. Then I activate my body, and sometimes that could be like stretching. I don't even get out of bed, or in like different parts of my body, or I could get up and dance, or could shake my body, whatever. Yoga, taking a walk,
shaking your body like a dog.
Yeah, like shaking, like it's called the Shakti shake. I literally bouncing and like shaking every part of my body, just kind of get your blood flowing and activating.
Kind of like this.
You know, I can't see you anymore, Karen. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just shaking.
Yeah.
I was shaking the groove thing. Yeah, we could see you,
ScottieO. So I can see each other. Then let's see. Gaia sets. So then I still the mind. So usually that involves breathing, something like quieting the mind, deep breathing. There's lots of different exercises for that. Then energizing. So this is where I either do like some pelvic pump. I could do like self-pleasure. I can make love. If I have a partner there, like, something's actually generating and juicing up my sexual energy. And then I transmute it. So I do something called the cobra breath or some other breathing practice that takes this juicy energy and instead of like sends it out into the ether and more or less wastes it, I send it up my spine, and it helps awaken and open up all my chakras and gives me all these amazing benefits, especially if I do it over a long period of time. And then I send it out. So then I think about people I love in my life. I send blessings, or I just send good wishes, or if I've got someone there, I could do like eye gazing, hugging, connection, kissing, whatever. And that's how I start the day. And then I focus on what I love, and I live a transparent life. And every day I'm learning, I'm practicing opening my heart, fully feeling my feelings, and yeah, just going where it's scary to grow and live a juicy life. And I built a community around me, which are just amazing, open-minded, loving, beautiful, adventurous people. And by surrounding myself with community of those that are living the kind of lifestyle I have, or even or better than me in some ways, like if they have, you become more like the people you hang out with. So be careful who your friends are. So have friends that inspire you, have friends that are more successful than you, have friends that are, that are ideals or role models for where you want to go. And that'll support you too in staying in your greatness. So that's my tips.
That was amazing. That was a really juicy distillation of how to live. It was beautiful. Okay, but what about, how come people think that Tantra is all about sex? Because, I mean, you have mentioned sex, you've sprinkled it in here and there, but that's not really all you're talking about. So how did that word get to be something that people are like, oh, well, oh my God, that's all about sex? Like,
yeah. Well, what makes Tantra different than most other spiritual practices or most other yogas is we celebrate and utilize sexual energy, just like Think and Grow Rich talks about. Yeah.
Okay, wait, hang on. So,
sure.
like in some religions, like they celebrate the host, or they like eat bread and wafers or wine and wafers. I don't know about those because I didn't grow up in those. You're saying you celebrate sexual energy. This is different, but kind of like celebrating in a certain religion.
Not necessarily a religion, just we celebrate it. So where most religions, most people in general still have a lot of shame and judgment and fear around sex and sexual energy. I mean, it's like it's not like when we grow up and we're caught masturbating or something that our parent is going, yeah, you go, like, keep going, keep practicing, you're gonna be great at that one day. Like I'm here to support you, or or like if we show PDAs or like public displays of affection, or like or God forbid we make love in public or something, and that's it's frowned upon because of all this history and conditioning around it. So most people put a divide in the chakras. So like we're taught that if we have our sexual energy, it should be separate from our spiritual higher selves. And what Tantra does is it links them. It takes your power and your creativity and your life force and your rooted lower chakras, and it connects them with your heart and your love and your self-expression and your vision and your connection to the divine. And that's one of the great things about moving up all your chakras. So it actually utilizes sexual energy as the most powerful way to connect spiritually with the divine and with others, and it helps you love more. Sex is a way of accessing our hearts and improving and expanding our love. But most practices out there, it's just my opinion, talk about how if you get sexual, or if you make money, or if you don't work hard and aren't pain and suffering, then it's not spiritual. Like, we have the conditioning around spirituality that it's got to be hard, difficult versus easy and fun. If you're making money, or if it's self-sustaining, there's a whole like money monk mentality around that too. Whereas the truth is that any spiritual practice that makes a difference is self-rewarding, and like it's self-sustaining, and it generates money, so it can grow and expand. And then people think that sex is this shameful, somehow a lower thing that separates. A lot of people still view sex as the opposite of spirituality, when I believe it's access to spirituality.
Ooh, say it again.
I think most people believe that sexuality is the opposite of spirituality, when I believe it's the main way to access spirituality.
Okay, so the main way that human beings have to access spirituality.
Yeah, it's at least one of the most powerful. It's not the only way, but it's a powerful tool, and it's fun. It's like, I think people also take spirituality too serious sometimes. Like, when I make love, I feel everything. There's times when I'm like primal and I'm roaring and I'm like using my dragon energy. There's times when I'm like crying and I'm like really getting to my heart, and I'm feeling the other person with passion, emotion. There's times when I'm laughing and giggling and being silly like a kid or a fairy frolicking in the woods. It's like there's like I believe that we're here to experience it all. One of the things we're here to do as humans is to appreciate everything that life has to offer, so we know what we like, so we know what love is, so we know what we enjoy and don't enjoy. And so that's I think one of the joys of Tantra.
Okay, I have another few questions.
Okay.
So, what I hear you saying, typically feeling is relegated to the feminine. And, men are supposed to be stoic, and they're supposed to be the providers and the protectors, but they're not supposed to show their emotions. So is this what you learned from Tantra, is how to feel and how to express your emotions?
Yeah, one of the big practices that Tantra taught me is how to open my heart and fully feel. And actually, I learned this before Tantra. I did like 12, 13 years of personal development work, something called LifeSpring. And it was basically, I didn't cry from ages 8 to 26. I grew up a fan, like my dad was a Star Trek or Trekkie fan. And like Spock was my role model. Like, he was someone who was stronger, smarter, had like cool superpowers and Vulcan mind grip and so forth. But he repressed his feelings and emotions. And for years, I thought that's what a man was supposed to do, and, to be strong and so forth. But when I realized that, when I actually started feeling, when I started expressing my emotions, and Kirk, by the way, is the one who got all the girls, by the way. So when I started really feeling and really exploring what it is to be human, to like really fully feel it all, my joy, my experience of life expanded everywhere. Like, once I allowed myself to cry, like, life just got more beautiful. I was able to experience and see and like, I don't know, it's like all my senses became more heightened. I was able to feel love really at a whole deeper level than I had before. I was able to feel joy. And, and since my pattern's a little bit like this, there are waves, and there are times when it's not a straight line. It's not always perfect all the time. But when I go into these down moments, when I allow myself to feel my sadness or to feel grief or to feel whatever, it actually both helps me appreciate the ups even more, but it also expands my capacity to feel joy, orgasms, love. So I think of it as like an investment. It also allows me to connect more deeply with other people and to understand them and feel them and connect with other people to fully feel feelings. So I'm a big believer. The more I feel, especially allowing myself to feel the things that most people want to avoid, what's uncomfortable, whatever, it's just temporary. It's short term. I might experience something painful, but then I can experience like 10 times more joy for both intensity and length by allowing myself to feel it all. So yeah, short story. It also is a way to heal and clear patterns and trauma. It's a way to also feel into what you want. Like when you're manifesting and thinking about what you want and your desires, if you get excited about it and have the feeling of gratitude in your body, it also more quickly attracts it and manifests that too. So there's a lot of value to feeling your feelings. So I believe that's what we're here to do as humans. So feel it all.
I think that's so incredible. I'm so glad you're saying all this. So I wanted you to tell me where to send people, because I know that there's 2 classes coming up, which are kind of introductory level classes, one being Tantra 1, Awakening to Love, which I've taken and which I recently staffed and invited a whole bunch of my friends to. And
Yeah.
everyone without reservation had a good experience. People had breakthroughs at different levels. They exposed themselves to new people, new practices, new experiences and ideas. And I know that class is coming up. When is that one?
Yeah, so there's 2 big weekends, which are the most powerful things I know of to help expand people's consciousness and give them tools of Tantra. One is sexual empowerment, and that's actually coming up March 25th through 28th. So it's like a Friday night, then Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday night graduation. And that's about finding our limiting beliefs and utilizing tantric techniques and skills to clear them, to heal them, and then get our limiting conversations out of the way so then we can embrace who we truly are as divine, powerful beings. And that will shift the trajectory of your life. And then the one you're talking about is the Tantra 1 Awakening Weekend, which is April 29th through May 2nd. Both of these are in Austin. Again, similar format, Friday night, then all day Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday night. And that is about teaching these fundamental Tantra techniques that if you start incorporating in your life, will help make your life get better and better. And they really complement each other. And I recommend both. You can take either one first. And and they're pretty powerful practices.
Thank you for sharing those. And can people find it if they go to ecstatichearts.com, or is there a different link?
I just sent you a link that you can share here on the chat. But it's basically if you go to www.ecstatichearts.com, ecstatichearts.com, and there's a calendar, or you just do /live events, live-events. Then it'll show you all the main things. It's got both of those listed there.
Okay, I'm popping it in the chat right now.
And you also
so I really hear what you're saying. There's like the opportunity to live life in a kind of normal way, like whatever we were dealt. And maybe we can get a little bit better at something, maybe better at our work or get promoted. But what you're really talking about is the opportunity to live an extraordinary life, to have a body, to feel what you're actually going through, to really be awake and alive in your life.
Yeah. And I think one of the things here that people get confused about or we're taught is that if, like, I was trained to be a workaholic, and I'll say once I have money and I got a good job and I got a house, then I'll attract the love of my life and then I'll be happy and all that. And well, I guess that supposedly can work. What I found is much more effective. Instead of have something in order to do something in order to be who you want, it's be to have works much more effectively, which is like be happy, be self-loving, change your perceptions of reality, because it's all perception anyway. And then once you're radiating love, once you're radiating joy, then you'll naturally attract the people you want in your life. You'll naturally do the things that you're inspired to do, and then you'll get all the things that you want. It's like if you do what you love, then you'll keep doing it, and then you'll get good at it, and then money will come. And
that has certainly been my experience.
Yeah.
I just was no good at doing things for money. Like I really didn't care enough, and I really had to find something that juiced me up. Like that's why I called it Business as Pleasure, which is the name of my business, because business as usual was so tedious. I mean, everywhere I went, people were just doing it for the paycheck, not for the fun of it. And I was like, something's wrong here. Like,
Yeah.
people look unhappy when they get to work. They look even worse when they come out of work. Why would I do that all day?
Yeah, but most people do, because that's what we're trained and taught and so forth. I mean, I had the benefit of going down that path, and figuring out it didn't work for me, and
Mhm.
so and figuring out my own path, and my body, again, your body will tell you stuff that your brain doesn't. Like, I was getting sick, and I was working in corporate America 80 to 100 hours a week, and I was doing that consistently, and I was like, I wasn't happy, and something was missing, so I just worked harder, like trapped in the matrix. And my body just kept getting sick and saying, hey, this isn't good for you. And I wasn't eating healthy, I was exercising, I didn't have fulfilling relationships. And one day my body just said, okay, you're not listening to me, boom. And I just shut down on me, collapsed. And I couldn't get out of bed for more than 2 hours a day for about 6 months.
Oh my
And that
God.
was a wake up call. And it was like really challenging at the time, because my sense of self worth was tied up into my productivity. So it really, and then I lost my job, and my whole life kind of fell apart from what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And it was kind of a death of ego, and it gave me a chance to really say, well, what is calling for me? And it led me little by little to Tantra. And now I live such an extraordinary life. I mean, it's mind blowing. It's so much better than what I thought was possible, that I really feel I'm so blessed, and it just keeps getting better and better. And but it starts with following your heart, and not being afraid to go into the unknown. So many people, I feel, are so afraid of change, that they're afraid of what could happen, that they're more comfortable with the misery that they know, and they aren't willing to expand past their comfort zone and really go for it, go for what their heart
Mhm.
calls for.
I
And so I
think
really,
that's true. I'm like that
yeah,
often myself, as I talk to you about how instead of the fighting dragon that you described, that fighting dragon energy, I guess for me, it's I'm born in the year of the rooster. We're pretty scrappy, but I think I default to my Capricorn. We are kind of on the conservative side, but I know in my heart it's not really who I am. And I've had some of those outrageous times. I think that's why I gravitate towards you and your organization. You remind me a little of my mentor. He was just like so out there, and he didn't do anything that he didn't want to do. Even if he didn't have money, he wouldn't do it just for the money. It was the principle of infusing every cell with pleasure and desire. If he didn't feel that it was going to turn him on, he was just a no. Even if he was about to be evicted from his house and he had to live in an abandoned theater and eat out of a dumpster, he did
wow,
that just
wow.
because he was unwilling to compromise his aliveness.
Mm.
And, I think one reason that I'm not really with that group anymore is because I wouldn't let him push me towards my greatest desires. I had to
Mhm.
dabble for the years that I've dabbled in mediocrity. And look, I'm not embarrassed about it. I regret it. But apparently, like you said, it was my path. But I'm kind of ready for that path to be over. It hasn't been like the golden ring that you go for on the carousel. It hasn't produced those mind blowing orgasms that you're talking about, or I guess you said two stepping with a lightning bolt. I'm not sure what else. So there's one more question I want to ask you, because literally we
Sure,
have, make it brief if you can, but I think it's
sure.
important.
Okay.
So y'all go to ecstatichearts.com, go to the live events on ecstatichearts.com, and check out the puja parties. And also, I want to say that there might be some things that happen in the course or in the parties that you're not actually ready to partake in. And that's completely okay, that you can sit by the side and you can experience what it's like to watch or hear or feel what you're experiencing without having to immerse yourself in it. So you can stay in the shallow end if you're not ready to go in the deep end. And it's really up to you. My experiences, it's about our own volition. And it's a great place to learn to set boundaries, or just set the boundaries that you already have developed in your life by learning to say, yes, I'm in for this one, or no, I'm not. And I see people growing in their ability to be self-authoritative when they come to the courses, because they can decide of all the things on the menu what it is that they want to partake of. So there's no feeling that you have to. There's nothing like that. I wanted to ask you there. I mean, I could really ask you a few more questions, but since we're running out of time and I have a 1 o'clock, can you just describe one of those spicy hot experiences that you've had? Like, you touched on the mild with gratitude, and what's one of the ones that like just really blew your mind? Like, you were like, I've read about this, but I didn't know it could happen to me.
Yeah, and I just want to double tap on, we're very much a consent culture, and everyone's path is unique. And if you try to dive too much off the deep end, then most people, it'll be too crazy and fearful and will jive back. So it's more about baby steps leaning into your edge. So don't feel that you have to go out and do everything. Like, feel what's in the heart for you, and just, explore little by little, and over time you'll make bigger progress with baby steps. And to answer your question, I mean, I've had so many things. I'll just say I had like a Kundalini awakening, which is a common thing that happens with time if you practice this for a while in Tantra. And my experience of it was we were outdoors at a Flipside festival. It was dawn. We had just finished making love pretty much all night, and there was lots of vibrant energy and so forth. And my partner was coming back from the porta potty, and she laid down on top of me, and I closed my eyes, and I saw us as these beings of light, and our lights merged and went whoosh, and it shot up into the sky, and I felt myself shooting up to the sky, and all of a sudden I felt such extreme joy and bliss and energy that tears were streaming down my face. I was laughing hysterically. I thought I was going to explode, and then it was over in like less than a second, and I realized that I don't think my body could have contained it for very long because it was so extraordinary. And at that moment, I had this knowingness, this oneness, that I knew that I felt at one with everything. I felt that I knew everything, and that I saw very clearly that beauty equals love, equals my soul, equals light, equals pleasure, equals sex. Even poop was in there, which is interesting. And it was like this unity consciousness, which is ironic too, because I was reading Be Here Now, and he had the same stream of consciousness, including poop, in his Kundalini awakening too, which I thought was really interesting. But anyway, the point is that at that moment, I knew, when I came back to my body, that I was more than just this mortal shell, that I was tapped into something much greater than myself. And since that time, I've been able to move and generate more energy. I've been able to feel more strongly. I've been able to go places that outside my body. And yeah, it was the beginning of a whole nother world. It's like an awakening to a whole nother world that's happening, like another dimension around us that most people don't even know exists. And
I mean, like, who needs Disneyland?
Yeah, I mean, Disney's great too, but this is something you can access all the time with lots of money and waiting in line.
Exactly. ScottieO, I really appreciate you sharing so openly. I know you say your life is transparent. Thank you for sharing with us what your journey's been, what it is that you truly love in your life. You know, there's that Howard Thurman quote that says, don't ask what the world needs, ask what brings you alive, because what the world needs is people that have come alive.
Yes.
And so your story is clearly an illustration of that. I'm so grateful for you to come on the show. I also realized that I didn't even ask you about your projects, because you're handing off the teaching to some of your colleagues that also love Tantra and love helping people awaken to their best life. And I didn't even ask you about those projects, but if you're interested to find out more about what's available, ecstatichearts.com. We may have you on another format or on another show to talk about your projects when that becomes something that you want to talk about. I'm just super grateful that you're on earth, that you're in a bodily form, that you're articulate, loving, and enthusiastic, and that you can express your experiences to the world. And I'm just so happy that you are here and that you have appeared in my life. You know, you're just such a loving person. I'm sure there's people that are feeling the transmission right where you're sitting in your home or in your office. And this is a real transmission. Love is a transmission. Ecstasy is a transmission. Enlightenment is a transmission. So if you want to get a little closer to it, come to a live event and know that you'll experience some out of the box things, and you'll experience more richness in your life if you do so. And like you said, ScottieO, that's really what we're here to do, is like, who says it? Marianne Williamson, to experience the glory of God that's in us. It's not just in some of us, it's in all of us.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you so much,
it.
Karen. It's been a real joy. I think you're a blessing in my life as well. And I'm really excited to see what more we can create together. And so thanks so much.
Me too, ScottieO. Big love. Everybody out listening, big love. Please leave your comments, your requests, your desires in the chat. Share with your friends. The world needs awakening right now, truly, like never before. And through the medium of social media, we have chance to access people that could never have found out what's possible when we were these isolated little islands with only telephones. So share liberally and generously if this has spoken to you, and we'll see you on the show next week. Thank you, ScottieO.
Bye.
Bye for now.